They go to the wall making up these lies. They just sit around and they think, what can we do to take the facts as they exist and then twist them around so that it fits the Darwinian paradigm? Again, they're welded to it because, don't forget this, the creationists. If it wasn't for the creationists, if the creationists were willing to stay in their little box and say, I'm going to believe this that they believe, but I'm not going to force it on anybody else, well then the Darwinists would be free to say, okay, we don't know here. We got a problem here. We're working on it. We're going to figure it out. And they might even tell the truth. But as long as the creationists are there putting that constant, relentless pressure on them, they can't relent. They can't let go. It's going to have to be a whole cloth, overnight change that takes out both of them. And that's what my theory, or what I'm talking about, represents. I'm trying to cut them both off at the knees at the same time. And I'll either live to do it, or I won't. But I'm in the game to win. And I'm a competitor, and Pat can tell you, I'll stick my nose in there. And so I've got a chance if I can just keep from driving my car into a ditch on the way somewhere.
How are you treated by it, or are you even treated by the mainstream press?
No, I'm not dealt with. I haven't been dealt with at all. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm trying to run kind of a stealth campaign here. I haven't asked for, nor have I received any direct media support yet. I haven't asked for any book reviews. I haven't done any of that traditional stuff because I know that they can't do anything according to their rules except hammer me. There's just no way. What's the point of asking for a review when you know you're going to get hammered? You know, the old theory is any publicity is good publicity, bad publicity. It's a bunch of bull. That's ridiculous. Bad publicity is bad publicity. It does not help you. And so I'm just avoiding it as long as I can, and I'm going to let them find me. I'm going to try to fly in under the radar and get enough of you good folks to see what I'm about so that when the hammer does start dropping on me and they do start saying the horrible things about me that they're going to say, some of you out there will stand up in my defense and say, hey, I saw him and he's not crazy. He's not a lunatic.
I'm just thinking if you could get just your lecture on PBS or something like that, just as, okay, let's present it. I mean, that's a real naive statement, I understand.
No, actually it's not. It would be real nice to do that, except I can't do it in this form yet because I don't have all the releases for these things. You know, I can do these lectures no problem legally, but as far as making a documentary out of it, then I would have to get releases for everything that I do. But frankly, what I'm going to do is this. I worked in Hollywood for several years as a screenwriter. I was a fiction writer for a long time. Those of you who get my book and read it, you're going to notice immediately that it's fairly well written. And that's because I've spent a lot of years learning to write. But I also spent a lot of years in Hollywood learning how to deal with the film industry. So my ultimate goal is to produce a documentary. You remember the John Anthony West documentary, Charlton Heston, about the Sphinx and all that? Well, my goal is to someday, whenever I reach the level of status or stature that will permit it, I would like to do a documentary that I think will compete with that, if not supersede that. And when that day comes, then of course I will be well recognized for having done it, and all of this material will be able to come out of that. But not only will it be as these static slides that you've seen here, I'll be able to do graphics. You know, I will be able to tear some heads off. And you're impressed, you know, you're impressed with what you saw, no matter what your belief system is. If I had graphics up here instead of these static slides, you know, you would know you saw a presentation. See what I mean? So that's what I'm shooting for down the line. And as soon as I have enough ability to go to folks and, you know, raise the money to do this, we're not talking about an inexpensive venture. We're talking about $500,000 to do a halfway decent documentary at this level. But that's dirt cheap relative to what a movie costs to understand. But we're still talking $500,000. And nobody's just going to hand that to me until I've got enough of a base out there to warrant it. But I have the skills, I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I have absolutely everything I need except the money to do it. And when I do it, I hope to have it out, you know, if everything would go right, maybe sometime next year, late next year. I'd certainly like to beat the 2000 Doomsday thing with the YK2 and all that. I'd certainly like to beat that out. Okay, yeah.
After going back and forth several times, scientists are once again saying that there probably is a Planet X out there.
Yeah.
I know you know Richard Hoagland, but I just got through wading through his hyperdimensional physics model. And according to his model, in order for our solar system to be the way it is, there has to be at least one other body out there in our solar system. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it probably is true. If you look at Bode's law, everything's a little bit off. You know, it's not quite right. They use Earth as the base. Well, that's a mistake right there because Earth didn't start out. So, you know, the model is wrong, but even there's a little bit things off. But as far as it absolutely being required by the solar system as it exists, I'm not 100% sure of that. So there may be some stretch there. I don't know. I haven't read what you've read. I have read some of hyperdimensional physics. I believe it's a wonderful new subject. I'm very interested in it, but I'm not knowledgeable enough about. Nobody is really. I mean, Hogan's just sort of throwing darts right now, but I think he's throwing darts at a target, and I think he's going to hit it sooner or later. And I do believe probably that there are other dimensions. I think everything that we attribute to metaphysics and spirit, we all have those feelings, those moments where, you know, the hand of something touches us in our lives, and we just know there's something else. I have that in my life. You all have that in your life. I believe there's something else out there.